Everything truly is as easy as you think that it is, meaning that if you think everything is incredibly hard, everything is going to be incredibly hard. One belief system you can change here today is that you can decide to stop assigning such difficulty to the everyday experiences of your life. If you just start deciding that things are easy and you start rehearsing that within yourself and for yourself and to yourself. And it's not about the rehearsal, it's really not about the affirmation, but it's about how the affirmation allows you to begin experiencing a new version of yourself, a different timeline through which things are easy for you and come to you with ease. Then they will be easier. Now, I don't mean without difficulty, without challenge. I'm saying without toiling, without suffering, right? And suffering is pain that is paired with resistance, meaning I'm rejecting the way I'm rejecting the way that I perceive things to be and pairing that with pain. Thus, I'm suffering. Jumping into it. So, transmission tonight, thank you for co-creating this moment here with me, is that love and abundance are easy, but you've got to decide that they are easy for yourself. And this stuff, here's the thing, is that once you get this stuff and once it starts to click, it's so freaking easy. It's so easy. There's all this complication and nobody's walking the same path. So you watch one teacher and they've got their path. I'm here sharing my path with you. The intention is to enlighten, to illuminate here on Divine Within. We remember the kingdom within, the power within, and that reality bends from where? Within. So there is not one path to this. I spent years studying metaphysics and spirituality for it to just click, that it's easy. And I'm going to share with you tonight. This will be a briefer one since we've had some longer messages coming out. And I say that every video. I think I say that every video that like it's going to be a briefer one. This one really will be, is that I've had more success in relationships, in communication, in friendships, and new connections. And I've been making more money than I ever have been, simply because I have done these three things. But it's not about the doing, but I hope they lead you to some insight for how to step into, how to shift into that new timeline of self where you're not struggling to find people that like you, that appreciate you, that share in your interests, that want to share in your world, that you stop finding it so difficult to generate more than just enough money to survive. That has to do with your attention, and that has to do not with the circumstance, not with what you need to effort or any techniques, but who you believe that who do you say that you are, and who do you know that person to be with certainty, not what you believe, not what you affirm, not what you chant, not what you meditate about, but who do you know yourself to be, which requires you. So we're going to get to that. So 3 things. Number 1, I allowed the things that seem to be leaving me to leave. I didn't cling. I'm not saying there was no pain. I'm not saying there was no tears. I allowed the tears. That's tenet principle 6 of no. I think that is 6. I think it's 5 and 6, detachment and unconditional allowance, and the Heaven on Earth source codex, which is a real-time reality creation system. It is an anti-system system because it's really a set of principles to help you summarize and synthesize this information so that you can live as the divinity that you are, because you are an individualized expression of the all that is. You shouldn't be out here struggling. I'm not saying again we won't have challenges, but I'm talking about, life from the, as Bob Proctor would say, to the cradle to the grave should not be one long sentence of displeasure and dis-ease. If that's the case, then we're weaponizing our creative power as gods and goddesses here on earth against ourselves, because we've been conditioned to use that power against ourselves by the media and the government and your parents and so on and so forth, some maliciously, some unconsciously. But if life feels like everything is 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, then I just stay 5 steps back. Now I've been stuck. Where's my stuff? still living in lack, fear, and scarcity, then our power, then that should tell you that something is out of alignment in your life. How do you know if you're vibing high or vibing low? You're vibing high when you're feeling good. You're vibing low when you're feeling bad, which does not mean then step over the bad feelings, unconditionally allow them, and understand that as they rise through you, you will rise in vibration. But I let the stuff that needed to go. I let it go. I let people go, circumstances, whatever needed to leave me left. As you start affirming new things, the things that are out of alignment for that are either going to leave or shift. They will leave or change. Once you declare something, you have to know this. This is principle 7. You have to know how easy it was. You don't wait. You're not checking for signs. So things in your life, if you're asking for a shift, in some ways you might even be asking for a death of a previous self. Or when you're talking about quantum shifting, you're leaving one timeline to the next. Okay, well, leaving means you're going to lose things. Or lose dynamics even. You might not lose the person, but you might lose an unhealthy dynamic with them, which might feel weird if you're affirming for, perfect, whole, complete relationships that reflect me back to myself in the highest possible manner. If that's what you're affirming, then that toxic shit is going to go. But then if the toxic shit is familiar and if it feels safe, even though it's dysregulating, then there's going to be grief that comes with that. And you have to allow that. So number one, for more love and money and connection and abundance, I let things and people and stuff that needed to leave me. I cleaned out my closet, which you don't need to, it's not about the closet, but I looked at stuff that no longer represented the timeline and the version of myself that was, and I got rid of it because it didn't belong here. It didn't belong in the abundant timeline. So number one, allow things to leave you. Be comfortable with the idea of loss. Understand that loss is a part of transition, of transformation, of ascension. You can't hold on to everything on one timeline and then say that I'm shifting to another. It's like we want everything around us to change while we stay the same. And you will only see yourself. You will only get more of what you already have. So it doesn't work that way. So number one, let it leave. Be comfortable with loss. Number two, gratitude. And I know that sounds hokey. That sounds corny. I don't want to write 3 things that I'm grateful for and call that transformation. It's not about the 3 things. It's about your attentional points. It's about what is your relationship to the world as you see it? What type of person are you? Are you the type of person that sees more everywhere? Are you the type of person that can take any setback, any obstacle, any challenge, and expand yourself with the opportunity of that challenge or that obstacle? Are you someone who sees themselves as already winning before they've won? Do you see it? Or are you waiting on the results? Are you waiting on the sign? Are you waiting on the text back? Are you waiting for the check to hit? Are you waiting for the net? Are you waiting for the next? That would mean, I wouldn't call waiting quite lack, but I would call it deficiency. Are you in a state of deficiency? And speaking of, I just wrote an article on the supremacy of scarcity, really outlining what scarcity is and how it functions in our psyche and conditions us to live in a world that really truly isn't happening. At least if you live in the West, there is enough of everything. There is enough people, there is enough food, there is enough money, there is enough. But are you living in a world where there is enough? Because you'll only see what you're aware of. You are not going to see it out here unless you are aware of it in here. It has to exist in here first. You have to have some concept of what it means to participate in a reality where that thing that you want to see is here, in order for that reality to then materialize out of your psychic manifestations. So gratitude, notice it now, be it now. Like, gratitude is not just money. It's not just people. It's going to get to the third point. It's everything. It's the fact that you have this phone. It's the fact that you have Wi-Fi. It's the fact that you have food. It's the fact that you have clothes. Again, if you're living in the West, you are living in some of the richest times in the richest societies that ever were. On a material level, most of us have nothing to be upset about. I mean, if we think about, like, Now, again, I'm not talking about, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I am not talking to individuals that, I mean, but if even so, I was going to say not, but I mean, if even so, if your safety needs are at risk, still this message applies. We have so much to be grateful if you're viewing this message, at least if you're sharing this time with me, because I'm not telling you anything. You summoned me to help you remember the truths of your divine being, that you are divinity incarnate into flesh. The gratitude to look around, to look at the sun, and say, thank you, sun, for rising. You have clean air. And it's not about like bare bones stuff, because that's what we think of when we think of gratitude. It's not about, okay, I'm happy I have food to eat, where's my dream car. It's not about be happy, because this gets misconstrued. Be happy with scraps and peanuts because the bigger stuff is out there and you're waiting on your manifestation to come in. No, it's living a life. It is being a version of yourself that is always expanding. There is always more. There is always enough. There's always more than enough. That I see it everywhere. That I radiate abundance. That I am abundance because I am abundance. Abundance is all that I see. There's always enough. And when one door closes, having the thought, having the belief, having the knowing that 3 more doors are going to open. Why? Simply because I decide that that's the case for me. And once I decide, a decision is a choice to eliminate all other options. Once I decide, then it's done. Again, knowing, that's principle 7 of the Heaven on Earth Source Codex. Knowing how easy it was, knowing that it is done, knowing that, and knowing that with trust, regardless of what you see out there. So I got comfortable with whatever needed to leave. I let it leave. Gratitude to see it now, to be thankful for it now, and you pray to receive it now, that it's all here now, that you've got so much now to be the kind of person that sees and lives and is just so much. We're not waiting on anything. And number 3, spending time with myself. You can tell when your state of being is hungry. And I don't mean hungry for food. I mean hungry for stimulation. Hungry for more. Hungry for someone else to validate you. Hungry to feed on something that is not that present moment within yourself that you spend your time running from. I have Friday night date night with myself, and I take that time very seriously. You have to set a standard of care for yourself and stop waiting on other people to reflect the best of you back to yourself, because they can only reflect back to you, 1, what you believe that they believe, but 2, also then what you believe about yourself. And when you spend your time running and evading and avoiding that void within whatever comes up, again, unconditional allowance, whatever comes up with that void, you're putting yourself in a position of dependence on the things around you, be it a smartphone for doom scrolling, a game console, streaming services, people, kids, pets, community obligations, 2 or 3 jobs, whatever it might be. We don't have, and all of us have different lives and different responsibilities, and I'm not saying that those can be foregone, but we have to spend time and pay attention. You have to pay attention to yourself. You have to fast. To spend time with yourself, I think, is to fast even. Obviously, I'm a proponent of food fast. I usually fast 1 to 2 days, working my way up to 3 a week. But if that's not safe for you medically, fast. What do you absolutely need that would benefit you to reduce your intake and consumption of? And I know that you know that in your soul. You know what you're doing too much of. You know it. I was explaining a dopamine detox to a client, and it's, really just kind of sharing my results from a few years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago where I did my first one. It was for 7 days, and they were like on board and they were listening to me. But at the end of, my little, 3-4 minute spiel, they were like, yeah, but what's that going to do for me? Like, why would one do that? And I answered immediately with presence. Is you strip away, for me, it's music. I'm huge into music. I've always got music on. I got music on now. Um, so that was what was really hard for me. The sugar, okay, you get a craving every now and again for some chocolate or something like that. I don't really have any social media that's not related to these platforms, so that was no problem for me. I don't watch corn. I don't, I don't watch a ton of TV. When I do, it's stuff from like the 70s or 80s. I mean, it's nothing that's like I'm not waiting for that next season or episode of Yellowstone. Like I don't. But what was really, really like what was devastating for me was the music. That was terrible. Because I've always got stimuli going. I've always got sounds. I'm highly auditory. I always have sounds going. But the way that I answered the client was that when you strip yourself of the things that you have trained your body and your being, your personality, and your energy to need, when you strip yourself of that and you're left with just the substance of you, which is always changing, which is transient, you come into deeper harmony and deeper contact and deeper relationship with what is. And that way, if there's wacky shit going on in here, you can actually hear your belief systems. You can actually take the time to self reflect. I don't think meditation is about clearing your mind. I think it can be. But I also think that it's about hearing your mind without judgment. It's meditation, and that's the definition I got from Kathy Heller in her book called Abundance. Check it out. Um, but she talks about meditation as a space and time to just listen to yourself without judgment. We don't listen to ourselves. We don't listen to ourselves, so we don't know what we need. We don't know what's fulfilling to us. We don't know what we enjoy. We're running on E. We're giving to everybody and everything. And then we spend our time online trying to prove to everybody else that we're happy. And then we spend the rest of the time avoiding whatever it is, that whatever actual emotions we have about the challenges in our reality. Silently, we're hopeless. We're looking for the next episode of whatever it is to come up and the next thing to do. Like, we're always distracted, so we have no contact with ourselves. How the hell are you going to consciously create a world that you desire to be a part of when you don't know what your desires are beyond vague descriptions of a material circumstance? And if you've been following along, and if you're on the side of the internet, you know that it's not about the stuff. It is truly not about the stuff. Okay, I said this was going to be a briefer message. We're at 18 minutes, and it's okay. I'm done. I'm done. My name is Lucian. I'm an entity named Lucian. Thank you for co-creating this moment here with me. Check out all the stuff below. Please do like, subscribe, and share the video with someone that you know is maybe this has become a really complicated topic for them. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to create more in their life, more love, more abundance, more of themselves, to live more fulfilled, and they're having trouble because they're confused with like all the stuff. So those are 3 things that you can do starting here right now.